What's up everybody, it's Paul from Boosted Films, and in this video I'm going to change the engine air filter and cabin air filter in this 2019 Honda CRV. Now, this video may be similar for different years or different, trim levels of this vehicle. So if you could do me a favor, leave a comment after you watch this video. Let me know if the process was the same for you. And of course, if it was helpful for you at all too, please just give the video a thumbs up. Now, before we get too far along in this video, I just want to let you know that this particular CRV is a 1.5 liter engine and it's the all-wheel drive touring model. But we're going to start by changing our engine air filter. And to do that, of course, the first thing we need to do is pop our hood. And to release our hood, we're going to open up our driver's side door. And then down by the driver's side footwell, you should be able to see the latch, the lower latch to pull here to release our hood. And then if you slide your hand in kind of right where that H is towards the center of your vehicle, you should find a lever that you have to slide to your right, and then that will release your hood and you'll be able to lift it up. And when you lift it up, you want to look for this prop rod that has a soft foam part to it. That's where you want to grab on. That'll be less hot. And then you'll watch there's a spot in the hood for this to sit, and there's an arrow pointing to it. A little hard to see there, but there's an arrow pointing to where this prop rod should sit to hold up your hood. Now to the right of the video screen here, you can see this is our air box. It kind of splits into an upper half and a lower half, and there are 4 bolts holding that in place. So we're going to utilize an 8mm socket to take those off. Otherwise, they do have a Phillips head on there as well. So either one should work for you. And so that's what we basically need to do here is release these 4 bolts so we can separate the top half from the bottom half of this particular air box, and our air filter is inside there. So I sped up the process a little bit of loosening up those bolts. What is nice about those bolts is they actually are designed pretty much to kind of stay in place. So don't plan on pulling them out all the way. They should just kind of stay with that top half of the airbox. And there you can see I lifted this up. You got to pull a little bit more towards the back side. There's a round part that kind of pushes in that you got to pull up on. But I pulled up after I loosened all those bolts, and here you can see our cabin air filter. And I'm pointing out this tab here too because we're going to reference that a little bit later. There's a tab on here that kind of lets you know for sure what way this should go back in. And you can see this particular air filter was a little bit dirty, but we have our new one here ready to go in. So whatever air filter you bought for your car, whether it be OEM or this particular one, you should be able to take a look and make sure it matches the filter you took out. Again, watch for that tab. That tab that protrudes out is going to face the front of the vehicle here. So I'm just going to do a quick check again, make sure this one is very similar to the one we removed. Check for any larger debris that might be in the bottom of your airbox. This one just particularly had one little bug in there, so I took that bug out. Everything else looked pretty good. So once I checked and made sure it was cleaned in there, I took my new air filter, lift up that box with one hand, and then drop in that new air filter with the other. And then I'm going to show you this kind of circular part in the back here that pushes in a little bit. So you can see that here. So that top cover, that's kind of what I focused on when I pushed this top piece of this airbox back in place. I looked for that cover and made sure it lined up, that circle part kind of lined up, and then those bolt holes lined up. And then I gently pushed down towards the side closer to the engine, closer to the firewall. Push that down first, and then I pushed down the front side closer to the front of the car. And you should see it line up. It should go pretty smoothly. If you have to use a lot of force to get it down in place, you might want to double check, make sure things are lined up. And then I just tighten up my bolts. I like to get each one started and then walk my way around to double check and tighten them up. And with these bolts, you could really feel kind of when they bottomed out. So once they kind of got tight, they got tight. So should be pretty simple. You just go and tighten them up. And here's a view just showing what you can expect it to look like when it should sit flush here, and that it's kind of lined up like it should be, in case you're having any particular issues getting your airbox cover back on. So that's about it. We're going to take our old air filter out of the way, make sure nothing else is underneath the hood. We are pretty much done. We're going to lift up our hood here, and then our prop rod should slide out. And then there's a little clip for our prop rod that you're going to clip it into here. And then what I like to do with the hood is just hold it a few inches up from where it is, and then just drop it down and it should latch fully. If not, might have to give it an extra press to make sure it latches all the way. So now we're going to move on to the cabin air filter, and this filter filters out the air that circulates within inside the car. So we're going to open the passenger side door here, and our cabin air filter is behind our glove box. So open up your glove box, take anything out of there that's inside, because we're going to drop this glove box down all the way out of the way. So the first thing you need to do is actually just kind of squeeze these sides. There is kind of a cut in the right side here to let you really squeeze that piece over. There's a protruding piece that holds it up. So you're going to get those out just far enough where they're not holding up in any particular spot. But then there's kind of a soft close arm on the right side of the glove box in the passenger car. So here we're going to lift up our glove box just a little bit and then push down on that arm. And that arm, as you can see, has a hook where it kind of snaps in place. And that's it. That's a nice, easy way to remove our glove box or get it out of the way to access our cabin air filter. So that's a good design that it can be done so quickly. And now back here you can see this is where our cabin air filter is, and there's a cover keeping the filter in place. So there's a part that you just would press in on either side that clips it in, and you can see that there's also up arrow designation on the cover itself. And this is our cabin air filter here, this white piece. So we're going to slowly pull this out. If there's a lot of big debris in here, you want to be extra careful. If this hasn't been changed in a long time, you want to just try to prevent any debris from falling in to your blower motor, because your blower motor is directly underneath this. This one wasn't too dirty, looked like maybe a little moldy-ish or something, but no big debris in there to worry about. So I pulled that one out pretty easily. And then note on the side, it has airflow direction down, and that's the way most all of these particular ones are going to be, is where the airflow is coming from the top and going down into the blower motor. So per usual, I like to double check what I bought compared to what I'm putting in. So again, regardless of what filter you bought, you should be able to compare, open up the new one you had and compare it to the one you removed. This particular filter is not a perfect square. It's more of a rectangle, so it can basically only go in one way, for lack of a better word. So of course on the new air filter too, you're going to want to watch for that airflow direction. It should have a airflow direction on it. Most of them say airflow direction. Again, noting that airflow direction on the side, and then just for fun, I'm kind of showing here that it does kind of only go one way. If you try to put it in this way, it obviously sits really loose in there, and it would stick out enough where the cover wouldn't go on. So it'd be kind of hard to mess that up, but just so you're aware, if it doesn't seem right, give it a spin here. We're going to give it a little 90-degree spin, make sure that airflow direction is still down, and then push it in place. Now our cover, again, designated with up. We'll keep that up arrow pointing up, and then this cover should pretty much just snap in place here. And a quick check, making sure that cover looks like it's all snapped in. Give it a little pull with my hand. It doesn't pull off or anything, so that's good. So it looks like we're all set here. All we need to do yet is put our glove box back in place. And I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but here's where it's kind of cut out to give this more flexibility on that right side. And there's the left side where it protrudes up. These also have a little bit of angle to them, so I think if you just lifted this straight up, it would probably just kind of go in. But of course, first we're going to reconnect that arm. So we're going to lift this up to where that arm goes in place, and then we'll pull that arm up, and you'll hear that snap in. And then you should either be able to just lift your glove box straight up, or you might want to squeeze those sides in again a little bit just before you do, just to get them past that part where it holds up in place. But that's it. You have successfully changed your engine air filter and or cabin air filter. So there you have it, everybody. That's how I changed the engine air filter and cabin air filter on this 2019 Honda CRV. But of course, I'm just a guy on the internet that likes to document what he does. So if you found a better way, go ahead, leave a comment in the comment section down below. If I did something wrong, leave a comment down there as well, so everyone can check the comments and see if there are any updates. Also, if this video did help you out, I would appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up, like, or whatever, you know, all that stuff people beg for. That does help, you know, my channel and help me continue to do more of these videos. And finally, if you have a Honda CRV, maybe if it's a different make, different model, different year, if you could comment if this process was the same for you and what your make model was, that might be helpful as well for other people watching this particular video, just wanting to be sure that it'll work for their exact Honda. But once again, as always, this is Paul from Boosted Film saying thanks so much for watching.